Welcome to Cochrane Real TV. My name is Shane, and this doesn't add up at all. I'm talking about the Nova Scotia mass shooting. There are so many things that are wrong with the story that is being told. It is crazy. It just feels like it's just full of so many holes. I'll just give you a couple of examples, and then you guys could decide, whoever's watching this, you can decide if I'm going to cray town or if you think I'm onto something. But this just seems suspicious. Okay, I'll just list off all the suspicious things, then you guys can decide. So number one, at about 10 o'clock on Saturday night, the gunman gets in an argument with his girlfriend at a bush party. They go home. He assaults her, ties her up, goes back to the bush party, shoots a bunch of people. They say 13 people. Just absolutely tragic. She unties herself, escapes into the woods all night long. He comes back, torches the place. That's one thing. I think they need to have his girlfriend in protective custody, protect her, because she is a key witness in this whole thing. Another thing, allegedly, this guy had 4, not 1, not 2, not 3, I guess 4 cop cars, 4 identical cop cars. Why do I say they're identical? Because one Officer Morrison said in a report that he thought that his partner Heidi Stevenson, was approaching. He thought that was his partner because he was supposed to meet her at a certain time. And when the vehicle approached, he realized it's not his partner, Constable Stevenson, but in fact it is a gunman. So he said he got shot, went to the hospital. For some reason didn't let Stevenson know, unless I could have missed a report. Maybe he did use his radio and say, look, stay away from here. I just been shot by what appears to be another police officer. How would he know who the person was? Like, if the guy's firing, maybe because obviously he's not sticking around the scene, he's taking off. Somebody's firing at him from a police car. He's getting the heck out of there, off to the hospital. Doesn't seem like he's letting Stevenson know. The gunman ran into her cop car and took her gun, which is pretty hard to do. It's not easy to take a person's gun unless you know exactly what you're doing, because a police officer's gun and holster is positioned in such a way that you can't grab the gun and pull it out of its holster. So they do that to protect themselves when they're in a scuffle with someone. It's not easy to take the gun out of their holster. So this guy must have known how to do that, because he took Constable Stevens' gun. We don't know how many weapons he had, because again, his house was torched. I don't know when his house was torched. We don't know, and there's probably a lot of evidence in that house now is torched. There's several instances of things being torched at the original scene of the crime. So 4 cop cars on the loose. Then they arrive at about 10:30 at night, and there was an alert sent out. There was an alert that went all across Nova Scotia, and it said that we had an incident of a shooting. We're checking it out. And a little while later, they said it was a false alarm. So they said, go back to sleep, basically. And when you see their account, when they had a tweet, all is good, go to sleep, everyone. And then a short time later, they said on Twitter that we got an incident of a shooting. I don't know what the time frame was. But I know there was one account of one lady that had said the next day that she thought she heard at about 11:10 p.m. shots fired, which would mean the police arrived at 10:30, got into a skirmish with whoever was there at the campfires. I'm kind of thinking that maybe something got out of hand. They weren't practicing social distancing, and maybe somebody got shot, and some of the cops that were there started shooting people. You know, maybe they thought they were armed. This is extremely hypothetical. But something went on there at about 11 o'clock at night as well. And there was no mention of it on Twitter, which is the stupidest place on the planet to post a shooting, especially on their own, on the Nova Scotia Police Twitter account. It says, we do not monitor this account 24 hours a day. So why are you posting a murder on Twitter? Why don't you let the news outlets know? Why don't you let your local neighborhood know that there is a mass shooter on the lookout? You know that he's dressed like you. You know that. You know deep down inside, you know, because when you arrived at the first scene, there was a victim that was shot. And he said that the gunman was dressed like a police officer. That's what you said. So now, the fear that you guys had was you don't want to get into a battle with blue-on-blue violence. You don't want to have that. I've never heard of the term blue-on-blue violence until I started reading the Nova Scotia police reports. So they were fearful between 10 o'clock at night and the next day that they were going to be shooting their own. Good guy or bad guy. So maybe there's some rogue cops. I don't know. It's pretty tough to get a police car with working lights on top. Forget about the decals and all that kind of stuff. So, there's lots of suspicious stuff. I would say all the police officers in that area are suspect. They need to be questioned. It doesn't mean that they did it, but they're all under suspect. You have to question every police officer that arrived at that scene, that was involved in some way or another in regards to the shootings and tracking the gunman down, all that kind of stuff, because there's 4 police cars that were missing. So you got to track that down. These police cars look identical to the real thing. They're not unmarked cars like some reports said. I know what an unmarked car is. It doesn't have any police identification on it. The police were worried that someone was out there that looked exactly like them. Uniforms, guns, who knows what they had. Now they're saying that he may have had a registered gun. I think that registered gun was Officer Stevenson, because she was shot and killed by whoever. I don't know if it was Wortman. I don't know if he did it. I don't know if a rogue cop did it. There's too many questions. You need an external investigation to come in there and investigate everything unbiasedly. It's the only way you're going to get to the bottom. If you expect that precinct that was in that area to do the investigation, you need somebody from the outside coming in that could look at everything, question every officer, trace where every single cop car was, because you're going to find that there's 4 missing cop cars. He probably had an accomplice. It may not even have been Wortman. It could have been 4 other police officers. We don't know, but you have to question everything. I'm not saying that's exactly what happened, but there's too many questions here. The timelines don't jive. They posted on Twitter. Nothing happened all night long when they knew that there was a shooter out there, and they didn't let anybody know, and they didn't do anything. So that is irresponsible. They should have issued a BOLO alert, which is be on the lookout. They didn't do that either. So there you go. So that's it for this video. I'll probably follow up with other videos. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Let me know. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please consider subscribing. I'm digging deeper into this story. I'm sure we're going to get more information as the weeks progress. But this is not good at all. And I feel for the family. I feel for all the loved ones that were executed. Like, there's just no other way to say that. This is just a terrible tragedy. And then a few days later, I don't think Trudeau made this any better by issuing a ban on over 1,500 assault rifles when we don't even know. I would say make a ban on people buying police cars. You shouldn't be allowed to buy a police car, period. They're saying that this gunman bought 4 at an auction. Why are you selling police cars to people? Why? With all the decorations on there, all the decals, all it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So I smile a little bit when I'm angry. I don't think this is funny at all. This makes me mad. I'm all the way in Alberta, and this story in Nova Scotia is affecting me because I'm concerned for the family. I just want them, I want this to be properly investigated. And I don't want them to drop the ball on this, because I know what's going to happen is in 2 and 3 weeks from now, we're going to forget about this story. And I don't want people to forget what happened. I want answers, and I think the family wants answers as well. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.